In this video, we're going to be covering Aave V4. We're going to go into the optimizations that it's making compared to V3, and also some of the new things that it introduces compared to the previous version. So the way that I decided to present Aave V4 here is by comparing it to V3, since that's going to give us some starting points that put things into perspective in terms of what changed. So I wrote some of the key components of Aave V3 and Aave V4 on the right side. So the first thing to consider is kind of the starting point of any lending protocol is liquidity and how does it work between markets. On V3, if we look at the entire Ethereum chain, we have individual isolated markets. For example, Core, Prime, and EtherFi. Now, each of these markets, even though they might share the same asset, for example, USDC and Go, each of those markets needs to have their own separate liquidity, which means they need to fund it separately. So even though technically on the entire Ethereum instance of Aave V3, we have this collection of USDC Go, this collection, and this collection, there's no way for that to really interact. If one market has an abundance of USDC and maybe there's borrowing demand on Prime, it can't use the USDC from the core market. So it creates this sort of tough situation where even creating new markets becomes difficult because it's not necessarily incentivized. It has to bootstrap its own liquidity, and maybe somebody who would like to provide liquidity to a market, they might opt to do that on a market that's more active where the USDC, for example, that they lend is actually going to be utilized and they're going to be earning yield off of it. Aside from that, there sometimes is a need to create a new market or a preference for it, since a new market means that you can introduce a new collateral factor or LTV per asset, different risk premiums, basically for different use cases. So that's the thing. It doesn't necessarily incentivize a lot of new markets being created and different kind of strategies being open per market. So the way that Aave V4 tackles this is through the hub and spoke system. So how does it work? When we talked about how each of these markets are isolated on V3, Aave V4 has an, let's say, Ethereum hub. That means that for the entire Ethereum chain, there's unified liquidity. So USDC or Go, it exists within the Ethereum hub, and then any market that's created can tap into that liquidity. So for example, you can have Spoke 1, Spoke 2, Spoke 3. Each of them has their own LTV, collateral factor, their own risk premiums. Basically, they have their own strategies that they're specialized for, whether it's a more general purpose market, or maybe real world assets, or maybe like an E-mode asset that's very focused on correlated assets. A spoke can be sped up for each use case and capped into the hub's liquidity. So in that way, Aave V4 is kind of trying to tackle this problem of isolated liquidity that V3 had. So that's something to keep in mind. Spokes in and of themselves don't hold liquidity. It's the hub that has the liquidity, and the spokes are tapping into the hub. Now, of course, the hub itself has its own parameters, and the spokes have their own parameters. So, if somebody decides to create a spoke that's, let's say, more risky, there's going to be limits in place that's not going to let it access all the USDC liquidity, since it can, depending on how risky things get, it could drain everything. So there's going to be limitation in terms of how much liquidity a certain spoke can actually gain access to. So that's a good introduction in terms of how liquidity is optimized. And the next thing I want to take a look at is sort of risk and yield, and how that can be optimized from V3 to V4. So in this case, by the way, V4 is not live yet as I'm recording this video. So all of the AGYs I'm showing or the risk premiums are just made up to illustrate a point. So I'm taking an example here of ETH and Link, where you are on V3. If you supply ETH, which is kind of a blue chip asset, or Link, or think about any other maybe a bit more niche asset, you're essentially experiencing the same risk premium. That is to say, there's a baseline borrow APY for USDC on the market level. So on Core, USDC is borrowed at 5%. It doesn't matter what your collateral is, it's 5%. But think of it this way. Every single collateral asset is backing the debt. And what if too many risky assets enter the market? Well, it kind of becomes more and more dangerous. And so there's this idea, right? If we're gonna play a fair game, wouldn't it be more fair if you want to supply a risky asset to back your debt, or let's say just a riskier asset than ETH? Well, you should be paying more, right? In this case, we're all paying the same. And imagine if you're a lender of USDC, so you're not supplying collateral, you just lend USDC to the liquidity pool. Well, what if you know that somebody's utilizing your USDC with a risky asset? You might think, well, I prefer getting paid a bit more since my asset is being used or backed by riskier collateral. Well, Aave V4 tackles this through a new metric that they call risk premium. And what risk premium is essentially, it's represented in a percentage. Again, these are made up numbers. Lick's probably not going to have a 30% risk premium, but think of it this way. So baseline borrow on USDC is 5%. And ETH is a blue chip asset, so it has a 0% risk premium. That means that if you want to use ETH as your collateral, you'll be borrowing USDC at a 0% risk premium. So at the baseline borrow APY. Now, if somebody wants to borrow with the link that has a 30% risk premium, it's actually going to be able to say, okay, you want to supply a riskier asset. This metric is going to help us adjust your borrow APY to, in this case, 6.5%. The idea being that now the protocol is able to say, hey, if you're going to be using riskier assets, you're going to be paying a bit more. And from the lender's perspective, it also means they're going to be earning better yield if what they've lent is actually utilized by some more risky collateral. And so this is a way to kind of tackle both risk, but also provide, I mean, it's fair to say that it's a more fair environment for lenders and make a bit safer risk profile for the protocol. Cool. So next up that I want to look at is, I think we're staying on the topic of fair, is liquidations and how they work on Aave. So on B3, here we have a slightly unhealthy position and a critically unhealthy position. Well, on B3, the second your position becomes unhealthy, and unhealthy means that the health factor falls below 1, you can get liquidated for up to 50% of the position. Well, what does that mean? A liquidator could trigger a liquidation for a position that has 0.99 health factor, just the same as they could trigger it for a position that has 0.95 health factor. That means that even though you might be slightly unhealthy and somebody might be a bit more unhealthy than you, both will experience a 50% liquidation, or up to 50%, where critically unhealthy positions get liquidated for 100%. Well, is that fair? Well, we're not going to talk about what's fair and not. It's just what's the more optimal UX? Well, the more optimal UX would probably be if I'm barely unhealthy, barely below 1, that it would be better if I could be incrementally liquidated just to keep my position safe. So I lose 50% after falling just a bit below the health ratio. So Aave V4 tackles that by introducing exactly that mechanism. If somebody's position becomes just barely unhealthy, it's going to do an incremental liquidation that bumps up their position's health ratio to be still live. Now, there's a metric called target health ratio that's basically going to be at a spoke level. And it says, okay, if you're interacting with this spoke, with this collateral, if you get liquidated, if your position becomes unhealthy, this is the health ratio that it will be repaid to. So you can take that if a spoke might want to basically decrease the number of liquidations that could rapidly happen, it would have a higher target health ratio. Since you can imagine that the target health ratio is very low, it might cause repeat liquidations to happen instead of another one that might cause a bit of a bigger liquidation, but then it won't repeat if the position remains above 1. So these are kind of the three main factors that Aave V4 is tackling. So we're looking at liquidity, risk premium, which also affects the yield, and then the liquidations. Now, from a user perspective, the thing to keep in mind is that as more and more Aave V4 frontends open up, everybody's going to be tackling the hub and spoke system differently. And the thing for you to keep in mind is that all you need to know is that the hub holds the liquidity. You're able to lend your funds to the hub, but in reality, you're interacting with the spokes because that's where different types of assets are going to be located in, and each spoke has a different strategy associated with it. So, for example, you might not be able to supply ETH as collateral while borrowing a specific asset in spoke 1, but you will be able to do that in spoke 2 or spoke B, or whichever way you want to call that other spoke. So it's on the app's decision how that's going to be demonstrated. In this case, we do also have a video on an Aave V4 walkthrough through the dashboard and the UI, in this case through the DeFi Saver frontend, which opted for showing the spokes that you're interacting to and letting you pick whether you want to interact with a specific spoke or just do it on an asset level by inputting what collateral and debt you want. So if you're interested in learning more about Aave V4, how it functions, how it looks like in practice, I do recommend following up on this video with that one. With this, we're wrapping it up as sort of a quick introduction. These are the main things to keep in mind. So some of the new metrics we talked about, like risk premium or a target health ratio, some new functionalities in terms of how liquidations work, and what you can expect when you, or if you decide to open up Aave V4. And with that, we're wrapping up this tutorial.